Hi, I'm Amber and I'm Director of Product here at Row Impact. And today I want to show you one of my favorite features in Koi, collections. So before I show the feature, I will say collections can maybe feel a little bit abstract the first time you see them, and I think that's because they're so flexible. So the simplest way to think about collections is it helps you group data together to do one of two things. Either look at impact in aggregate or compare data against each other. And everything else is really just a variation on one of those two core concepts. Collections can also do a lot. So in this video, I'm just going to focus specifically on the comparison use case and then a few of the tools that support that. And I'll try to cover more in a future video. So one of the places that collections really shines for me is in scenario testing. So let's jump right into a simple example. I'm going to start by creating a new collection. Let's imagine that I'm running scenarios for a technology company that I'm going to call Utterly Clean. Which is a made-up company that we'll say makes a feed additive that helps cows produce less methane. And I want to see all of my scenarios that I've built in a single place. So let's go ahead and use this technology model. This model is for a probiotic feed additive that helps cows produce less methane by changing how their stomachs ferment food. And I've already populated this model with a couple additional solution scenarios, which we can see on this unit impact tab here. So I've created a more conservative scenario where the additive doesn't work very efficiently and the production process is a little bit more energy intensive, as well as a high impact scenario that's the inverse of that. So to add a forecast to a collection, you're going to go to this actions drop down and go to the add to collections. This is the default scenario, and we can go ahead and look for the collection, or you can create a new collection from this pane as well. I'm going to add that to my collection and go back here. Oh, that was the high impact scenario. So let's, we will rename that later. So let's go to our default and actions, add to scenario. So we'll have two that are named the same thing and we can fix that later. And then finally, I'm going to go to the more conservative scenario and do the same thing. All right, and then I'm going to go to my collections page here. So this is manage collections page is going to have all of your collections. You have the collections that you've created as well as the collections that have been shared with you. To dig in deeper to a collection, you can just go in here. This first page really gives you a high-level summary of the data that you're seeing. So you can see all of our scenarios and the scenario that I misnamed. So let's go ahead and go into contents. And I'm going to edit this one. Go back here. So that's already changed the name on this executive summary. So this gives you a snapshot of the avoided emissions that occur for each of these scenarios, as well as what is the solution technology. So this is where we can see what some of the differences are coming from, as well as the technology that the solution is displacing, and then the markets, which in this case is the total cow milk production. I'll show you guys a couple other little tricks. If we go to view options, this kind of toolbar is going to be very similar to the one that you see in the forecast page. You can look at annual or cumulative avoided emissions. In addition to being able to look at avoided emissions, we can change the results that we see. So instead we can focus on market projections, the solution GHG intensity, or the baseline GHG intensity. So you can imagine, for example, if you just want to compare a bunch of baselines and understand the differences between those, you could look at baseline. In this case, let's go ahead and see what the solution would look like. Because that's what we know is changing in these scenarios. And then you can also change your units. So in this case, we have megatons per kilogram, and that's why this is showing up as 0. So let's look at kilograms per kilogram here. And then we can see where the solution GHG intensity is varying between these things. All right, let's go back. I'm gonna change this to megaton megaton again and go back to my avoided emissions. The last thing I really want to highlight, let's hide these options, is the charts, which are really essential to being able to compare these things in a single place. So you can look at all analyses. When you start to nest collections, which we will dig into later, you will see the level of depth of those different nested collections. But let's just stick with the all analyses that are in my collection for now. And this is a really quick snapshot to see year over year, how does this change over time? All right, and I think this gives us a quick overview of collections. I look forward to digging in more. Thank you guys so much for watching.